I want to take you back in time to a very specific room. I am sitting at a table with people who are credentialed, overconfident, and thoroughly convinced of their own expertise. These are people that I respect, people I have worked hard to be in the room with. And also, if I'm being honest, people who have a habit of not remembering their side of the agreement that we have in terms of the work that we are doing and how we're going to go about getting that work done. Something shifts in the room, the kind of shift where you can feel it before anyone names it. And for me, I always feel it in my belly. That's where it lands. It's in my belly, that particular heat. And in the moment, I have two choices. I can pop off. I can say exactly what I'm thinking in a way that will make the room uncomfortable and give everyone a reason to talk about my delivery instead of my point. Or I can shrink. I can smile and go quiet and wait for it to be over and then carry everything I didn't say all the way home. I want you to sit with that for a second because one of those two things probably just lit something inside of your body. Today, we're talking about confidence, not the kind that you perform, the kind that actually lives in your body. So stick around. My friend, not broken, disconnected. That's what I keep coming back to because most of us are walking through life thinking that we need to fix ourselves, do more, be better, when really we've just gotten disconnected from who we are. Welcome to Mindset Medicine. I am Dr. Tanya Berfield, speaker, mindset strategist, and someone who believes that real change happens when we bring together science, soul, somatics, and a dash of hippie woo. This podcast is all about coming back to yourself, about learning how to know yourself, trust yourself, align your life, and lead with confidence, integrity, and real power. Some weeks, it's just you and me, diving into mindset shifts, nervous system work, and the patterns that keep us stuck in overthinking, overfunctioning, and burnout. Other weeks, I'm sitting down with people who are doing something just a little bit better than we are, whether that is leadership, parenting, money, health, or just how they're showing up in their lives. Not because they have it all figured out, but because they have found something that works, and we get to learn from that. So if you have been feeling overwhelmed, stuck, or like you are doing everything right, but something still feels off, my friend, you are in the right place. Okay, here's what I used to think about imposter syndrome. I thought that it was just that, a thought problem, a belief problem, something in my head that I needed to think my way out of, to track my wins, to build my evidence file, to remind myself of my credentials, to repeat affirmations until I believed them. I tried it. All of it. And I still ended up in that room feeling the heat in my belly, choosing between popping off or shrinking. Because here is what nobody told me, what I had no idea of. Imposter syndrome is not a mindset problem. It was never a thought problem. It is a body problem. Imposter syndrome is a body problem. It is a nervous system that has learned somewhere along the way that standing fully in your own competence is not safe, that taking up space has a cost, that being wrong or being perceived as wrong is a threat your body needs to protect you from. And so it does what nervous systems do when they feel threatened. It gives you two responses, fight or flight. Only this time, it's fight or flight dressed up in professional clothing and called confidence. So let me tell you something about someone that I worked with recently. She came to me after a meeting where she had been talked over for 45 minutes by people who needed her expertise in order to do their jobs. 45 minutes. She was the most qualified person in that room. And in that meeting, in that moment, she felt like she had two choices. She could assert herself. She could say the thing that had been building in her chest for the last hour. And then spending the rest of the week managing how that landed, because she already knew how it was going to land. A man saying the same thing would have been called decisive. She, however, would have been called overly aggressive and maybe even a straight up bitch. We all have been there. She knew exactly what they would call her and what they would have to say about her. I know you feel that in your core. Her other option, though, was just to shrink, smile, take her notes, wait for it to be over, carry the weight of everything that she wasn't given the opportunity to say all the way home with her that day. She chose the second one, not because she was weak, but because her nervous system decided that in that moment, shrinking was safer than speaking up. She knows with absolute certainty that she is 100% the most qualified person in that room. And unfortunately, but all too commonly, her body just hadn't gotten that memo yet. That, my friend, is performed confidence. It is the exhausting, relentless work of managing how you appear in a room while your nervous system is quietly making decisions about your safety. It is the version of confidence that is always one wrong move away from falling apart, because it is built on vigilance, not regulation. Here is what is happening in the body in that moment. Your nervous system is constantly scanning the environment for signals of safety or threat. That is not something you decide to do. It happens below your conscious awareness, thousands and thousands of times every single day. And when it registers something as a potential threat, it responds. In a room where you feel like you might be found out, where someone is questioning your competence, where you are the only one like you, where the stakes feel high and the margin for error feels zero, your nervous system's going to fire. And it does not care that you have a degree, a doctorate, a credential, or straight up experience. It does not care about your track record or your title or the years of evidence that you are, in fact, very good at this. It only knows what it has been taught. And what most of us have been taught somewhere along the way is that standing fully in our own power isn't always safe. So when I say this is a nervous system problem and not a mindset problem, I mean this. You cannot think your way into regulated confidence. You have to practice your way there in your body and then in your head. That is what this month is about. I want to draw a line between two things that look the same from the outside. The first is performed confidence, which is managed. It is the version of you that has gotten very good at appearing confident in the room while running a constant background processing of self-monitoring. I am taking up too much space. Did that land wrong? Did they notice? Are they questioning me? It is exhausting because it requires two things to be happening simultaneously. First, the actual work, and then the constant management of how the work is being perceived. And then the second is regulated confidence. This is different. It's not loud. It's not performative. It does not need the room to validate it before it shows up. It is the version of you that walks into that room already knowing what you know, where the anchor is internal, where the body is settled enough to be present to what is actually happening rather than managing the threat of it. Here's the hard truth for you. Think about this. The most regulated person in the room is always the most powerful one. It's not the loudest. It's not the most credentialed. It's always the most settled, the most grounded. And here is what I know from working with people who have done this work. The shift from performed to regulated is not a personality change. It's a nervous system change. It is slow, it is linear, and it is absolutely possible. Going back to my own story, the version of me that sat in that room trying to decide between popping off and shrinking was not a version of me that lacked competence. I really did know what I was talking about. I was confident, I was competent, and I was able to do the work. What I was still learning, though, was how to stand in that from a regulated place, how to have the emotional intelligence to hold my ground in a way that was not driven by activation in my gut, how to make sure everyone felt supported even as I move forward in my own competence. That took work, body work, not head work. Okay. I want to give you something to do with what just came up for you. Because if you recognized yourself in either of those two responses, something activated in your body. Maybe it was a little heat, a little tightness somewhere, maybe in your chest, your jaw, the place where you are always carrying it. That activation is not a problem or something that you are doing wrong. It's just data. It's information. And right now, I want you to work with the information instead of rushing past it. So if you're driving, stay with me. You can do this with your eyes open. Okay, start by noticing where you are holding it right now. When you heard me talk about my response to the trigger, when I said you were activating somewhere, where did your body point to? Where did you feel it? That's the place for you to focus. You're not analyzing it. You're not explaining it. You're just locating it. Where in your body does performed confidence live? Where does it sit when you're not performing? Put one hand there if you can. Not to fix it, just to acknowledge it. Take a breath into that place. Don't force it. Just a nice, easy, directed breath. Like you are sending a signal that says, I know you are there. And now here's the question I want you to sit with. What has performing confidence been costing you? Not what you think the answer should be, what your body already knows. Let whatever comes up just be there. You don't have to do anything with it yet. For this week, we are in the acknowledge stage. Your only job right now is to notice. That noticing is the beginning of something. Here's your mindset medicine prescription for this week. This week, your only job is to catch yourself in the two responses, that fight or flight, that pop off or shrinking. We're not changing them. We're not trying to do anything differently. We're just noticing. The next time that you feel that heat in your chest, your belly, your jaw, your back, wherever that lands for you, when you feel that heat in a room, in a conversation, in a moment where your competence feels like it is being questioned, notice which one you reach for. Are you popping off or are you shrinking? No judgment, no fixing, just noticing. Because here's what I know about this work. You cannot change what you cannot see. And most of us have been running these two responses for so long that they just feel like our base, like they're our personality. They feel like that's just who we are. They are not who we are. They are what your nervous system learned to do to keep you safe. And the moment that you can see that, really, really see that, something will start to shift. Write it down if it helps. A one-line note to yourself after the moment. Send yourself a voice text. Which one did I reach for today? That's enough. That's the whole prescription. Notice the pattern. That's where everything starts. All right. If this episode landed and you want to take the prescription with you everywhere, I have something for you. The 3-minute nervous system check-in is a pocket audio. 3 minutes, anytime, any room, before the meeting, before the hard conversation, before you walk back in at the end of the day and become everything to everyone again. $7. You press play, you walk in differently. You'll find it out on my website, www.drtanyab.com. The link is also in the show notes. And then we are going to be in this conversation all month. So next week on Substack, I'll go deeper into what actually has to be surrendered before real confidence can actually land. So we started with acknowledge, and then we'll move into surrender. And then in a couple of weeks, I am joined by my friend Jen Kohler, who is going to bring the numerology lens to everything that we've been building here. We're going to talk about confidence. We're going to talk about building business and how she leads people who are building business through these struggles around confidence. It's going to be fascinating. She's fantastic. So you don't want to miss this one. Thank you for being here. Thank you for doing this work, for recognizing that something is off when everyone around you is convinced you are fine. I love you.